Today I'm going to show you what a £100,000 watch looks like. I promise you it's going to blow your mind. In this video, we'll also be looking at what a £50,000 Rolex looks like, what £25,000 can get you from Audemars Piguet. But first, let's start with a watch from £1,000. Drum roll, please. And here we have it. This here is the Tag Heuer Formula 1 Kith edition. This was made in collaboration with the store Kith. This is a very interesting piece. It's got the green rubber strap as well as the green ceramic bezel. This watch has a quartz movement, as you can see from the ticking on the seconds hand. The Formula 1 was released by Tag Heuer in 1986, and it was re-envisioned by a legendary lifestyle brand, Kith. This watch is made out of stainless steel, coated with PVD for the black, as well as a green ceramic bezel and green strap, and it's available for £1,000. £1,000 is a respectable budget to start your journey into watch collecting, and I think the Formula 1 is a great option. Other options around that price point would be something like a Longines or an Oris, but there's tons of great options at that price point. But the watches we're going to be covering in the rest of this video, like the Rolex, AP or RM, completely forget about finding them for £1,000. Moving on to your budget of £10,000, here we have a beautiful Rolex. This is the Rolex Datejust 41mm with the blue dial, and it's got the white gold fluted bezel and the oyster bracelet. Beautiful watch. The Datejust 41 was released in 2016 to replace the Datejust 2, so it's got a 41mm case. Obviously, being a modern Rolex, it has an automatic movement with a 48-hour power reserve. It's an incredibly versatile watch. You can wear it anywhere. You can wear it with a suit or with your jeans and a top or shorts on the beach. It's pretty much the perfect everyday all-rounder piece. And I love it with this blue baton dial. There are two blue dials, but I prefer this one. It's a darker blue and it has the lume on the dial and the hands, so it lights up at night time and when you're under the sea. The Datejust over the years, since the 50s when it was released, has always been considered the best entry-level Rolex. And they've always improved and improved on that up until the modern day with the Datejust 41. The Datejust is an incredibly iconic watch, whether it be on the Oyster or the Jubilee, and it's the perfect entry level into the world of luxury modern Rolex. For £10,000, year dependent, you can expect to get a configuration like this with the white gold fluted bezel and oyster bracelet. If you've got a slightly older model, you can probably get a Jubilee bracelet. You're unlikely to get a steel and yellow or steel and rose gold, but if they're only a couple of thousand over at maximum. So most of the Datejusts will be available within the £10,000 or thereabouts price range. I can't wait to show you guys the £100,000 watch at the end of the video, but first let's go to the £25,000 watch. So what could you get for £25,000 at Audemars Piguet? The fabulous AP Royal Oak Offshore Ghost. The AP Offshore was released in 1993 to be the sportier older brother of the AP Royal Oak. AP wanted something a lot more wearable. Obviously the Royal Oak, when it was released, was pretty much the original stainless steel sports watch, but there was still room for something sportier, which is where the Offshore came in. The Offshore was introduced in 1993 and has always been a slightly larger watch in comparison to the Royal Oak. As you can see, this is quite a thick watch and it comes on a rubber strap. Most of the Offshores over the years have been released on a rubber strap, and this is a very special one. This is the Offshore Ghost. This watch is made out of titanium, so although it is a 42mm case and quite thick, it's actually quite light due to the titanium case and rubber strap, and it's very wearable. The Ghost is an incredible watch, and I love the color combination with the gray and the light blue. I think it looks astounding, and I'm a big fan of it. Now we're in the 25k range, you start seeing things like the chronograph and the exhibition case back on the AP, which just look how beautiful that movement is. In the 25k range, we're also dealing in more exclusive materials like titanium and like gold, which you wouldn't be able to get in the 1,000 and 10,000 range from these premium brands. And obviously AP is a member of the Holy Trinity, the three best watchmakers in the world. So once you hit that 25,000 bracket, you're getting a watch from one of the best watchmakers to ever exist. Around the 25k range, you've got tons of options, even if it's not AP. You could get an AP Royal Oak like the one I have here in stainless steel, obviously. Stainless steel Daytona, stainless steel Sky Dweller, steel and gold Daytona, pretty much most of the Omega range, unless you go to something crazy. All of the DMTs in stainless steel and steel and gold would be available to you. It really opens up a lot of options. There's some great JLCs, some Panerais, all under that price point. So really, if you've got 25,000 to spend, you've got a good budget to get something very, very nice. Or you could actually get a watch from what some people consider to be the world's best watchmaker, which is Patek Philippe. And we have one here, which is the Patek Philippe Calatrava 6007G with the red dial and the red stitch strap, and that's absolutely incredible at just about 25,000. So we've covered everything you can get for £25,000, and I think we can all agree there is a great selection of absolutely incredible watches, but I think it's time to take it up a level. Let's double the budget to £50,000. And in this price point within the watch business, the world really is your oyster. Or is it your president? Of course I'm talking about the Rolex Day-Date 40 Platinum with the President bracelet and the ice blue dial. This is such an incredible piece. The Platinum Day-Date 40 is the top tier when it comes to talking about Rolex Day-Dates. The Rolex Day-Date was released in 1956. Obviously back then the Day-Dates were in 36mm. It was originally released in yellow gold, but over the years they've added more materials, rose gold, white gold, and of course platinum. The larger Day-Dates were introduced in 2008 with the release of the Day-Date 2, which I personally love in the rose gold, yellow gold, and white gold. But there's something about the Platinum Day-Date 2, the 218-206, which I'm not a fan of. I think the proportions at the 41mm with that thicker case just look slightly off. But in 2015, Rolex released the Day-Date 40, and they fixed the issue with the Platinum. The Day-Date 40 is, as you might have guessed it, a 40mm case. So the case of the watch is perfectly symmetrical, which looks so much better, especially as it's a bit thinner. They really fixed the issues on the Platinum Day-Date 2 with the Platinum Day-Date 40. One thing that I love about Platinum Rolexes is what I've mentioned quite a few times. Rolex exclusively reserves their ice blue dials for platinum watches. That's how you can tell without touching it, without looking at the price, without having the conversation, that watch you're looking at is a platinum watch from the fact that it has this beautiful, striking ice blue dial. So when you're spending £50,000, it's these little things that make an enormous difference. The other thing that I love personally about Platinum is the sheer weight of it. Platinum watches are some of the heaviest watches on the market. A Platinum Daytona or a Platinum Day-Date weighs the same as an AP that we refer to as the brick. And it's called the brick because of the size and weight, but a Platinum Daytona weighs very similar to that. You know, you're spending £50,000. It's nice to feel a striking and impressive weight on your wrist when you're spending that sort of money. What is quite interesting as well, and good for those of you that are interested at this point in a Platinum Day-Date, is that these watches went to over £100,000 at the height of the market. So if we did this video a couple of years ago, this would be the watch at the end, but this is the penultimate watch because of the way the market has gone. So this Platinum Day-Date today is £49,500, just under that 50,000 that we were speaking about, and I think we can all agree this is well worth the money. And now it's the time we've all been waiting for, the £100,000 watch. Any guesses? Well, here it is. Here we have the Richard Mille RM005, but not any normal 005. This is the RM005 Felipe Massa. The RM005 has a cool history. It was released in 2004, and it was actually the first ever automatic watch that Richard Mille produced. The RM005 is made out of titanium with this stunning yellow strap which matches the yellow inner bezel of the Felipe Massa edition. Due to this, it weighs only 68 grams. It is super, super light. But this represented a problem for Richard Mille when they was creating this watch back in 2004. The biggest issue was creating the titanium backplate. They had to actually buy special tools in order to do so, and fitting the movement into that backplate took careful precision by the watchmakers not to scratch it, and if any were scratched, they had to discard them and start again. So it's really a feat of engineering from Richard Mille. Over the years, Richard Mille has collaborated with legendary Formula 1 driver Felipe Massa on many watches, and this was one of the first with the RM005. Felipe Massa was actually a test driver for Richard Mille. He would actually wear the watches and drive Formula 1 cars to make sure they could withstand the conditions, which is absolutely astounding. Richard Mille's whole ethos when creating their watches was a racing machine for the wrist, and what better way to test that than by giving it to a legendary Formula 1 driver such as Felipe Massa. This particular model, the RM005 Felipe Massa, is limited to only 300 pieces worldwide. And I think it's one of the more special limited pieces from Richard Mille, as it was the first ever automatic movement that Richard Mille created in one of their watches, and it's a limited edition, so it's highly, highly collectible. In fact, a funny story, I bought this off a friend of mine who's a Richard Mille collector, and he was in Richard Mille with all 6 of his Richard Milles, and the watchmaker in the store was looking at all his watches, and he asked him, which one of these is your favourite? And he actually said this one, because of the fact that it's steeped in rich history and the fact that it was the first ever automatic movement for Richard Mille. So the own watchmakers from Richard Mille think really highly of this watch, and so do I. So I think it deserves a lot of respect. When we reach the £100,000 price mark for watches, this is when we see some really, really interesting stuff, and limited stuff that you wouldn't see every day. There's obviously a vast selection of watches that you can get from this point, from brands such as Richard Mille, Patek Philippe, AP, FP Journe, A. Lange & Son, pretty much any of the top brands you can get watches from. Not all of their watches, mind you, but some of them, and some incredible pieces. If you didn't like this and wanted something else and you had £100,000 to spend, there's a couple of Nautilus options you can get. AP Royal Oak Skeleton in stainless steel is around this sort of same price. A couple of FP Journes as well. Really, the watch world opens up to you massively when you're spending £100,000 on a watch. If you are a fan of Richard Mille and the whole Richard Mille ethos and the Richard Mille watches, most of them, as I'm sure you're aware, go for over £100,000. So it's nice to find one or two, especially a limited one, which is £100,000 or below. This really is the perfect entry point into a Richard Mille, and I, for one, am a big fan of it. This is available now at Trilogy Jewelers for £99,950. And this is a 2016 model. It's one of the later numbers on the limited of 300, literally close to that 300 figure. So it's one of the last ones of this watch which is ever produced, which in my opinion makes it more collectible. So if money was no object, let me know in the comments below which of these watches you would choose. Is it the Tag, the Datejust 41, the AP Royal Oak Offshore Ghost, the Platinum Day-Date 40, or the Richard Mille RM005 Felipe Massa? I'd love to know. For me, probably out of all of these, if money was no object and I was going to wear them, I would go with the Ghost because I love it. I love the sportiness of it, and I'm a big fan of AP. But I would love to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below. And if you liked that video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. See you next week.